Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Monday live stream. So it's a pretty good day. I mean, we had a nice little downgrade from last week from Moodys as they downgraded America from AAA to AA1. And you think that the markets would respond pretty negatively, and so far across the board, not too bad. But the big story today is Jamie Dimon coming in from JP Morgan and Chase Bank as he comes out and says, hey, you know what? We're going to allow all of our customers to buy Bitcoin. If you don't know who Jamie Dimon is or what his precognitions about Bitcoin was, let me just give you just roll down memory lane and what the CEO of Chase Bank and JP Morgan was talking about since 2017. Just take a listen. It's about 30 seconds or so.
I could care less about Bitcoin. I don't know why I said anything about it. But this is the last time I'm ever going to answer a question about Bitcoin. We're going to have some kind of digital currency at one point. So I'm not against crypto. You know, Bitcoin itself has no intrinsic value. It's used heavily by sex traffickers, money launderers, ransomware. So I just don't feel great about Bitcoin. I applaud your ability to want to buy or sell it. Just like I think you have the right to smoke, but I don't think you should smoke.
Well, that's good. So yeah, that's Jamie Dimon, and that is his stance on Bitcoin. And it's a funny thing because even Michael Saylor, all the way back in 2013, put out a tweet and said, hey, you know, this is the last time for Bitcoin, and it's going to eventually go to zero. And of course, that wasn't the case. But it's just a funny thing that everybody seems to at some point just come around, and that would be Jamie Dimon. So today, and I got to tell you, I find this a little bit odd that the CEO I understand that, they have power to what they want to do, but just to not allow their customers to buy into an asset class, which is the best performing asset class over the last 15 years, and just say, no, we're not going to allow you to do that. It just makes me wonder, like, why people stick with JP Morgan as far as financial investments. It's just an odd thing. But the question you have to ask yourself is, why now? Why is he letting his clients buy Bitcoin? And really what it comes down to is this. He still believes that Bitcoin is trash. He still believes that Bitcoin is only used for sex trafficking and for the cartels and for all the illicit activities that him and Elizabeth Warren talk about on every Thursday night when they get together. I don't know what they do, but it's the same thing happening. And the reason, I think, is because there's so much demand from the clients are saying, why don't you allow me to do that? If you don't let me do that, I'm going to go someplace else. And that's the free market, my friends. That's really what it comes down to. Now, some people say, Rob, there is no free market. That's just a ridiculous notion. And of course, it's just, we have no free will. I personally still believe we have free will. Call me crazy. And if clients don't want to stick with JP Morgan, they go someplace else. And they find someplace where they can buy the crypto and they can actually have it custody. But here's what they're doing. This move puts JP Morgan alongside other major banks such as Morgan Stanley, which already allows its financial advisors to pitch clients on some Bitcoin ETFs for eligible clients. Let me say that again. Morgan Stanley, it's not like they're saying, okay, you can buy it. They're actively pitching their clients on Bitcoin ETFs. There's a big difference between saying, yeah, do what you want. And another one is to go, you know what you guys should really get into is Bitcoin. So I see this actually picking up steam. And I know we were close to hitting all-time highs recently. I think Bitcoin hit 106,776, somewhere around there. We haven't got to that magical 108, 109, but it's coming. I think there's a lot of good news. And I look at this and I think to myself, this is actually exactly where we want to be. And there's some really good things. And of course, it's not just, Jamie Dimon moving the levers. I think it's also somebody like Michael Saylor, which this just came out today, which they just bought almost $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. And I know it's not so impressive when Michael Saylor does it, but it's the message that he gives out and for other companies. So MicroStrategy acquired 7,300 plus Bitcoin for $764 million at 103,498. Now, I don't know if you've bought Bitcoin below $103,498. If you have, let me know in the comments section. So if you've done that, they essentially beat this trade for Michael Saylor. Now, of course, they were buying Bitcoin back in 2020, but I just find it's just crazy. That's not crazy. It's just how it is. Michael Saylor just believes that heavily and will continue to buy. I think he said in the past that he's going to continue to buy the top. And they achieved a Bitcoin yield of 16.3%, which of course is good for the shareholders as they buy up the stock and they hodl that Bitcoin, and that goes up into a value of appreciation. So it's looking good. And it's the message that he sends, which I think is more stuff like this. Brazilian fintech shares rocket following Bitcoin buying strategy. Brazilian cashback company Moodys has announced a 28 million Bitcoin investment. Again, there's been a lot of things that have been put out as far as like I think it's for every millionaire in the world, they can only have like 0.1 Bitcoin. So what do you think when companies are buying up this much? Again, I've heard this same message. There's going to be a supply shock. Give me a supply shock. I've heard it since 2017. Still hasn't happened. I think it will happen. I just don't know when. And I think with these major companies stepping in and saying, we want to buy 28 million. We want to buy $750 million. We want to buy 200 million. I think that's when we'll get the supply shock. Anyhow, the idea, according to Moodys, is that shareholders will get a better return on their investment. Also, publicly traded DigiAsia adapts Bitcoin treasury strategy and plans to raise up to 100 million to buy Bitcoin. And then, of course, we've also got other things outside of Bitcoin happening. Looks like Robinhood cements for real-world asset tokenization to the SEC. And I want you to notice something. I want you to pay attention to the chains that are being talked about, because I have to tell you, every single cycle I was through in 2017, it was the era of the ICOs, and the people with the altcoins crushed it. And then in 2021, we had this beautiful altcoin season where you just close your eyes and threw a dart and you just crushed it, 2021. But now I see like there's people that are seeing through that and realizing that a lot of these altcoins are trash. And they're really getting it, especially with the meme coin craze, because they're like, what's the difference between a meme coin and say some other altcoin that's out there? What does it do? What's the utility? It doesn't do anything. So they're all meme coins. This is all trash. I think investors are a little bit more savvy now. And I think they're going to try to look at the quality projects that are out there. And of course, if you don't own Solana, no one owns Base except for, Coinbase. It's not a token, but it is on Ethereum. But if you're looking at something like as far as like where things are building, here you go. Here's your answer. So they're going to launch a compliant real-world asset exchange using Solana and Base. That's a pretty big thing. And then, so we talk about all this stuff. So the question you have to ask is, well, what other kind of altcoins are there? Well, first, you have to understand that stuff like this is going to keep happening. So not every single project's going to be awesome. This is just an offshot article I found about there's some kind of shooter game called 9 Heroes, and it was a Solana based game. And it's not like it was a Solana token that they built on, but you're going to see a lot of these projects just collapse because no one uses them, and they figured out like this is junk. We don't need this stuff, and they can play the game without the stupid token, right? So I don't know why we're doing so much with this. But you're going to see more like this. You're going to see some of the top 300 cryptos. They're going to either collapse or they're probably merge in with others. And of course, if we take a look at our market right now, things are looking pretty good. Hold on. What is this? I know what I did here. Actually, this is pretty good. I'm going to show you something real quick. So right here, I'm at CoinGecko. If I click on the little icon for settings, I can change the currency from US dollar to Bitcoin and then back again. Let me see this, US dollar. And of course, we can see everything in real time, right? And this is what the price of Bitcoin, 105,000. Hey, it's up 3%. But you can see that over the last 24 hours, everything, or most of the things are on the red except for Ethereum and Bitcoin. Crazy. Oh, Monero, congratulations. But if you want to see like, and Ben's always talking with us, if there's a bleed and stuff like that, you can do the same thing. Go over here in settings, put the currency into Bitcoin, and you can just see which ones are doing well against Bitcoin. And guess what? Not a lot are doing that well yet. We'll see what happens. But like, look at this. Look at this. Ethereum over the last 30 days is, I think, the big winner. It's up 26% compared to Bitcoin. But the last 7 days, 1.4, but 24 hours, 3.1. Tether, XRP, BNB's, nothing really. Dogecoin is up 15%. Staked Ether, same thing. Wrapped Bitcoin, same thing, really. Ethereum. SWI is up 43%. Again, I think this is the darling of the cycle. Wrapped ETH, no big. Hyperliquid, this is a new one. This is probably the second darling of the cycle. Be cognizant of what's happening with Hyperliquid. And everything else is red. Little Litecoin action, 5%, Wrapped ETH, whatever. Monero, maybe some people want to do some stuff. So that is interesting, though. Maybe I should look at a Monero a little bit harder. 30% for 30 days, pretty good. Pepe, 42%. Aave, 15.2. Hold on, that's not right. Let me do this again. That couldn't. Okay, that's better. For some reason, I was in Bitcoin, I was in dollars. Okay, let's do this again. Ethereum's still up. BNB up 1%. Damn, that's a lot of red. Dogecoin 14. No, I guess I was. 42%, 25%. Hyperliquid. Yeah, okay, I was right. Litecoin 4%, Wrapped ETH. Monero 30. But it's just few and far between. And oh my God, official Trump coin was up 23%. That's a trash. Well, that's a collectible. I guess you want to look at it. So looking at all these things, again, I don't think there's going to be like this major blow off top altcoin where everything goes up. Just take a look at the ones that are out there. And if you want to really dig deep into like things that do well, again, take a look at CoinGecko. Take a look at under cryptocurrencies, you can click on chains. And you can dive deep into who's building on what. I like this because like Ethereum, if you take a look at who's building on Ethereum or who has built, it's a boatload. I know some people say, well, Ethereum sucks and you know it's an old archaic technology. Well, so is Swift, and that's done pretty well for 60. Actually, it's been sucking for 60 plus years, but still, they've used it, and maybe Ethereum can break up, especially with their new upgrade. But look at all these tokens. Everything's being built on Ethereum just about. I'm not a big fan of Ethereum. I don't really hold that much, but maybe you will. The thing I want to just point out to everybody is this. If you want to see where things are being built on, just click on some of these and see what's happening. Like okay, here's an example. SUI, how do you want to say it? I think it's going to do great. But is anybody building on it? No, not really. Look at this. Let me see all the SUI coins. I mean, in the top 100, you've got First Digital USD, SUI, and USDC. Other than that, Ondo, I mean, real world assets, that's great. And then it goes in like the 300, Cetus, MIU, Lo-Fi. I mean, the stuff that has like very low volume. So again, take a look at that and you can kind of figure out which one's the best. And if you want to take a look at it a different way, this is Ben's website and you can see like which bleeds. Instead of putting the US dollar, let's put it in Bitcoin. And let's break this down into the last 24 hours. Who's up against Bitcoin? ETH, Monero, BGB, Tron, and some other ones. Not too much. But let's take a look at 7 days. All red. Except for, what the heck is that? TKX and Hype and Aave. And 30 days? ETH. NEAR is up. Tau, Litecoin. And let's go even back farther, 200 days. Oh, look at that. Cardano, Tron, SUI, Monero, and some other little ones here. So take a look at that. Maybe you can figure out which ones will be the best ones for altcoins. Me personally, I'm still investing into some altcoins, but it's going to be a long slog. And this will lead us to our last piece, which is just talking about the negativity and things to watch out for. One of those is scams. I thought this was interesting. You can't trust anybody, as this article clearly points out. South Korean woman jailed for stealing $500,000 in crypto from her sleeping boyfriend. This is why I'm not a big fan of keeping things out in the open. The ones that are the most paranoid are the ones that are going to do pretty well. So this lady, only known as A, I believe, Despite her claims of partial repayment, the court censored her 2 years. The case follows a string of crypto-related crimes in Jeju and abroad, including murder and multi-million-dollar thefts. This is in South Korea by itself. And of course, we've heard the stories as far as in France, and of course, the data leak for Coinbase and what's happening with that nonsense. But it's bad out there. In February, a man in his 30s was found stabbed to death in a hotel after traveling there for a private crypto exchange. So be careful. You never know when you're going to get stabbed to death. And lastly, to all the UK viewers out there, apparently there's a new bill out, or a new law. UK tax authority has announced that starting from January 1st, crypto asset companies operating in the UK must comprehensively report user and transaction data, including identity, address, tax identification number. Didn't you guys have to do this before? And details of each transaction in compliance with the crypto asset reporting framework to combat tax evasion. That's awesome. So just know that if you're in the UK and you're investing into crypto, you're going to get pinched for a lot of information, KYC and AML stuff. So if you're having problems with that, I warmly recommend a service for you. It's called CoinLedger. I've used them for 4 years or 5 years for my taxes, and it works great. Also, for everybody out there, I need you to do something. You can sign up for this service. It's free. Well, not for the tax reporting part, but for a portfolio part. So when you sign up, and first of all, this is not my portfolio. This is a dummy account that they set up for me. I have way, way less than this. Way less. Don't wrench attack me. I have nothing. But when you do this, it's pretty cool because it'll tell you like your cost basis. And it'll tell you like, hey, here's your unrealized return. This is what you're in. This is what you're in profit. Here's your unrealized losses. Hey, you shouldn't sell this, genius, because you didn't make any money. And it kind of just breaks it all down for you. And all it's asking for is to give your public address, which everybody can have for these different types of, I mean, it's for every crypto that's out there. And it's great because it pretty much compiles everything and it's free. Now, I did talk to the guys over there and they're thinking about making this a paid service. So if you sign up sooner than later, you're going to get this for the free stuff. So just do the free part. And then when you have to do your taxes like I do, you just roll it over and say, give me the tax report. It's $100. That's what I would do. Anyhow, that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. What we talk about is time sensitive. Now let's get into a little Q&A and I'll answer all your questions to the best of my abilities. And here we go. Andy says, I hate being a UK citizen. Not with that hair, Andy. Andy, if I had that head of hair, I would be very happy to be a citizen anywhere. Look at that. Let's see. What do we got? Buckeye. I'm an ETH Diamond Maxi, though. Could be bad. Could be good for me. We'll see. Buckeye, the thing about Ethereum is that people always like count it out, and then it just does these great moves. So who knows? I got to tell you, I think the institutions are pretty much they're warming up to it in a certain way. They're warming up to like Ethereum and Solana and stable coins, the things that are built on stable coins, those different types of rails. But I mean, if you're looking for just compliance and utility and ones that actually stay up and actually do what they say they're going to do, Ethereum is it. Unfortunately, it's been pricey in the past. I know that the fees have gone down. Some people say the fees have gone down because of the upgrade that they did, the EIP, whatever it was. And some people are saying the fees have come down because no one's using it. I still don't think that nobody's using it. I think less people are using it. But yeah, I just did a transaction yesterday and it was like 4 cents or something on layer 1. So yeah, you'd probably be fine. Hey, Jay today. I don't need CoinLedger to tell me I lost money on alt. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Like when I put it in there, so I put all my wallets in there because I want to see, because I got a bunch of wallets. I got different ledgers, I got different tangems, and I have multiple ones because I'm paranoid as hell. And I just, if someone busts in, I can say, here, just take this ledger and leave me alone. And then I got like, some other ledgers that are in like a safety deposit box or with my family or something like that. That's it. But like when I was doing it, I put in my hot wallets, which was Phantom and MetaMask. And there was another one that I was using that was kind of obscure. And I was like, oh, hey, look, I got a profit over here. And it was pretty sizable for me. And I was pretty happy. And it just kind of spit out the information. I took a look at the wallet. I'm like, I'll be damned. There it is. So that's a problem with buying too many alts. And if you're not like me, then you don't have that problem. Let's see. Rob believing all the XRP hype price target. I know an XRP whale in Puerto Rico. He still believes that the price will go to $5.15 by the end of May. That's what he says. That's his price prediction. Mine is XRP by the end of May will be anywhere between a half a penny and what's that one they're always saying? $589. Yeah, somewhere in that range. I'm still batting 1,000 for my price predictions. Let's see. Hey, everybody. Pause is here. Darren's here. Shiv is on ETH. Cody is ETH based. Yeah, and that's another thing. If we take a look at those different coins and who's being built on what, you have to understand that a lot of these projects have multiple chains. Case in point, if you took Tether, for example, right? Tether is on Ethereum, it's on Base, it's on Sui, it's on Solana, it's on CELO, it's on all these different chains. So, I mean, in that case, I think that's where the future is going anyhow. Multi-chain. Yeah, Chris, where's dogs? Uncle Ricky going through a thunderstorm. For all the ladies out there, I'm just a tourist. This is literally my first time here. Seriously, I'm not kidding. I don't own any crypto at all. That's the way to say it. That's what I'm going to start saying on my intros. My name is Rob. Welcome to Digital Asset News. I own 0 crypto. Don't try to take anything. It's going to be bad for you. Let's see. Loving the free market. I'm here too. Very late, but glad I'm able to catch it live. Yeah. I missed the news. What's the TLDR? Jamie Dimon's going to allow his customers to buy Bitcoin, which I got to tell you is kind of and as your CEO, you can do whatever you want to do, I guess. But it just seems kind of very aristocratic just to be up top and looking down all the plebs and going, you can buy this, you can buy this, you can't buy that. But that's what Jamie Dimon does. Now he's changed his tune, but you have to understand, why did he change his tune? I think it's because there's so much demand. People are asking for it. And I think the smart thing is this, and this isn't a very popular opinion, but I mean, if you want to have somebody custody it for you, then that could be a pretty good one. And then Jamie Dimon even said, we're not going to custody it for you, but we have a custodian that will do that. And I think for some people, you should diversify and you should do it that way. I know people will say, well, not your keys, not your crypto. Yes, that's true. But, at some point, you got to think to yourself, well, if I lose this piece of paper where all my seed phrases are, even though I'm really careful, and it was in a fire, and it burned up, and now I just lost, my life savings, that's not great. Or, I had this new cleaning lady come in, and all of a sudden, all my TANGEM cards are gone, and she disappeared. So what happened there? Or whatever. Or you just, something happens. I just say like this, if you can custody like 5 to 20% of your crypto with somebody else, why won't you do it? But it's not your keys, not your crypto. I don't know. It works okay for BlackRock and their ETF. Works fine for Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. Just saying. And me personally, I don't do the ETF route. I don't really like that part. Because, if you want to be trading, I'm not a big trader either, but if you want to, you can't do that with the ETFs, right? So what I do is I use iTRUST. Links in the description. You can call them and talk to a real person. iTRUST is what I use my Roth IRA for. And I'm going to start to stick over anywhere between 20 and 50% is I'm going to give it to them, and they're going to custody it for me. Ooh, that's not going to be popular. Let's see. Oh, well. Mr. Wilkes, Kat, good to see you. Soul is the new ETH. Bye-bye, Vitalik. So nice knowing you. Could be true. Who knows? Vanguard, you pay attention. What happened to the pool? Wasn't the walls in wood? No, we painted it. They did a good job, I think. So now it's white-ish. Sounds like there was curtains, Ben. That's true. I feel like so nice in here. Why would we just leave it open like this? Rob, question, do you know if you can have 2 TANGEM separate wallets in the same phone? Yeah, I've got 5. So what you do, I can't really show you this, but what you do, and actually watch my video on the TANGEM, on the cards, I show you, but you just swipe where it says like TANGEM card and your amount. If you swipe, then it'll be card number 2. And you swipe, it's card number 3. And I don't think there's a limit how many you can have on there. That's what I do. I'm here for the jokes. Thanks, Rob. Can you use useless energy to mine meme coins? It's pretty funny. Well, that'd be pretty good because that would be tit for tat, right? Useless energy for a useless function of something that does absolutely nothing. Yes. I'm sold. I remember paper wallets. Now I'm sold. I can't remember. I was once rich. I was rich once. Yeah, I remember. Well, I got here in 2017, so paper wallets were still talked about, especially by Andreas Antonopoulos. That's the first guy that I really listened to. And then I saw the beauty of it and how easy it was, and the simplicity which you could use it. But then, of course, there's always a downfall with paper, and what you write down and where you could lose it, smudge some ink, gets wet, gets burnt, and off it goes. But it was a viable option. I think, people still use it today. Yeah. The background color on the green screen changed pretty quickly. Like, look, man, I can change it. I can change it back. See, look, just back to where we were before. Look at that. Beautiful, right? Nice. That's what it used to look like, which wasn't bad, but kind of dark. So now we just went with this, and that looks better. Alrighty. Seriously though, Rob, the sideways bear market is really bugging me. It bugs me too. I know you're not a TA guy, but despite Bitcoin being 105, do you see the market taking off anytime soon? It's a good question. Like I said before, I'm cautiously optimistic. The problem is that we need to start hitting some all-time highs, and we need to increase the volume. These thin order books that we have, like we talked about this yesterday with Jerry. The volume isn't nowhere near like it was back in December and January. And I think that there's just some whales moving the market right now. I don't see us really going above, what are we, 3.4 trillion? The money's it's the same money sloshing around. So to get other people in here, like more retail, you have to hit all-time highs so they get excited and they all pile in like morons. It's pretty much the only thing they really care about, because they don't want to do the hard work. All they want to do is hear about, they want that escalator, right? And they don't want to do it like when it's right here and boring. They just want to catch this up, and then they want to just catch this. And they want to catch it right around here. And the best way to do that is they think is once it hits all-time highs, then we'll just do this. So that's what it comes down to. Once all-time highs hit, then things will be better. But right now, it's just accumulation time, which is, I know, boring. But for me, I'm like, gift subs, Mandela effect. That's funny. Chili rainbow coolers. And Big Pay's here. Well, it's a celebrity. He lives in my hometown. Well, actually, no, I don't think Pay's in San Juan anymore. Pulling a Jarkey. Thanks, man. What a great guy. Big Pay. Shout out to Big Pay for gifting 10 Digital Asset News memberships. That's cool. Big Pay's a cool guy. Went to, talked to Cardano, talked his project, went to a great steakhouse. Me, him, and his girl at Caminetto. Place is awesome. Argentinian steak, can't beat that. Malbec wine, constantly being refilled. Whew. It was good times. But thanks, Big. Thanks, Bay. I'll get you on the rebound. Let's see. Very generous. Yeah, what the hell happened to Jarkey? Maybe he sold everything and made it. I heard Atrium going to do things. You heard right. I think it's a good layer 2 solution. Every time people figure out how to make money, there's always someone like a Larry Finkster that comes in and wrecks it all, or just takes advantage of all of us plebs. That's really what it comes down to. Hey, Rob, why'd you change the green screen? Because, I'm a baller, and I go to Fiverr.com and I say, hey, change the color of my green screen. I pay them $5. And then they make it look like this. Let's see. I like it now. The chat looks. Thanks you. Oh, Krantz says you needed a copier that wasn't internet connected to be safe with paper wallets. That's true. That's true. Looks great. They profit. White green screen look better. I think so. My wife's gonna be very happy with this. This was her idea. Let's see. So she's gonna love to hear this. She deserves a win. She's stuck with me the rest of her life, so that'll be something. All right, H, we're gonna do big things. Yeah, Monero is nuts. Where do you get the green screen background? Green screens are us. Yes. No, if you go to Fiverr, use discount code D.A.N. I think they take 5% off or something like that. Buy now, small dip. Pay payment in the Middle East, I believe. No, he's still in Puerto Rico unless things have changed. I just saw him like 3 months ago. Maybe he's there for a visit. God, if he moved, that would suck. Days with Wade. Hey, Rob, would it behoove us to pay off our mortgages with the profit or reinvest after the bull? We were talking about this, me and the wife. It wasn't the mortgages, but so let's say that, I don't know what your mortgage rate is, right? Let's say your mortgage is, let's say you got it, right after COVID and you're at 3%, 3%, right? It's not that much. But if you do an amortization table over 30 years, you do pay quite a bit. However, 3% is pretty good. But do you think you can outdo that in, say, let's be very conservative and say, maybe you could, if you want to do like a private investment loans or in stocks in the S&P 500, historically speaking, I think the S&P 500 will give you yields of around, 9% per year? So you have to kind of take that into account. And then maybe you say, well, if I do this and I may want to put into Bitcoin, and the yields have been pretty good, or the rates, or the ROI, I should say. However, there is something to be said. I know this isn't going to be very popular, but there's something to be said with never having that debt on your back with your mortgage. It's great when you don't have it, because then you're like, it's just less stress. And the guy with the least amount of stress at the end of the day is the winner. But here's the rub. Here's the catch. With the house that you have and the mortgage you paid off, you don't own it. And I'll tell you why you don't own it. Because if you don't pay the state tax to wherever you live, and if you're in the United States, most of the world is like this, not everywhere. But if you don't pay it, they repossess your house. So do you really ever own your house? Do you really ever own your car, even if you pay that off? It's great to have no stress, but the problem with real estate, and this is a big problem, is that depending on which state that you live in, taxes are ridiculous. And that's not to mention if you have homeowner association fees. So that's a loaded question, and it's tough to answer. Let's see. Jarky and One Mullet and Bora Bora. Thank you, Big Pay. Oh, this is easy. What was the worst investment you ever made? Mine was Luna, just a few hundred. I'll tell you what my worst investment I ever made was when we moved to Puerto Rico. We bought a condo towards the end of 2020. This was right after COVID, or like in the downgrade periods. So like November, something like that. And we paid $180,000 cash. And it was a nice condo. It was about a 5-minute walk to the beach. Very good neighborhood. Structurally, it was okay. Put it on Airbnb, did good, right? And at that point, Bitcoin was worth $10,000. So with that one, what are we talking about now? Like $1.8 million, almost $2 million. That's what that'd be worth if I put $180,000 into Bitcoin at that point. But we sold it, and good news, it was a profit of $50,000. So that was probably my worst investment. Luna, yeah, that's just a crappy rug pull. Just the worst bear market of all time. I think the worst investment that I had in was the Voyager token. Because Voyager, I know people are still pretty ticked off about that. Me too. But that token actually was fine. The actual setup was good. The interface was solid. They were doing good things. It was the hotels.com of crypto apps. The problem is they tried to keep up with Celsius, and Celsius was a straight up Ponzi scheme. It didn't start out that way, as some Ponzi schemes don't. But then it became that way, and Alex Mashinsky was the ringleader, and he knew what he was doing. So for them to keep up with Ponzi, Shinsky, they took a big loan, $640 million from Three Arrows Capital, and they couldn't pay it back because they just made the biggest mistake of all time. That's the one that stings me. That's the one. And of course the condo one. All right, living the life. Going down memory lane and getting depressed. Buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Grayscale altcoins, trust and hold. You know what? I will tell you this one. To go back to Soul Bowl, that's a pretty crappy story, right? And then you're like, I missed out, whatever else. But today I just saw a snippet that former President Joe Biden, which love him or hate him, he was just diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer, and it's already metastasized to his bones. So if you know about cancer, first of all, prostate cancer, your 5-year survivability is less than 30%. Now, I know he's up there, but think about it this way. All the crappy investments that we made and all the things we've gone through, at the very least, there's not like this profound, massive problem that you might or hopefully might not have. And it puts things in perspective. A sick person or a healthy person has 1,000 wishes, and a sick person only has one. And I remember there's one more person, her name was Erin. She was on Twitter, nicest, sweetest gal. And she was battling, I think it was breast cancer or pancreatic cancer for the whole time I knew her, like 3 or 4 years. And she just passed away about a month and a half ago. So these things, like, to really put things in perspective, all things that we talk about, life's pretty good. Even if we make some shitty, some really crappy investment choices. Buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Grayscale, altcoins, trust and hold, sure. Jimmy's here. Mel Beck, baby. That's right. That's where it's at. I used to just be a beer guy. Keystone, Bud Light, Coors, didn't matter. But ever since I messed on my back, my doctor said I should drink wine. So I'm like, well, if I have to. What do you think about strategy? So I don't have to trade, or MST. Are we talking about strategy or MicroStrategy? Are we talking about MicroStrategy, the stock? I own some of that. I think it'll do well. But it really has to come down to, is Bitcoin going to continue on its ever-increasing ROI of 4-year cycles? Maybe they get elongated. I don't know. I think MicroStrategy will do well, but during the bear market, it's going to get beat down badly. And all the different news outlets will trash Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy to no end, and then people will be afraid, and that stock will go down, and I'll probably buy a little bit as it goes down. So that's what they do. She's lucky to be stuck with you. Yeah, she says so. Hey, Esquire, or MSTY, I don't know. Fiber Green. Dan, I always thought your name was Phil. It's close enough. Let's see. Let's hit the like button to help Rob maintain his high level of backgrounds. Tenor. Well, tenor's for the real ballers. I can't afford that stuff. Darren Wilkes. Roger Full-Time says, you do a live stream on your stomach and pretend your back is having issues. Yeah. Gosh. I remember one time I did a live stream from the pool. I was in the pool because I couldn't stand up because I blew up my back. This is what happens when you get old. L5S1 disc blown out. I believe Ben is right. We need the Fed to cut rates and go to QE, so there'll be more liquidity in the market before this bull run can really take off. You know, talks with Colin, or is it Colin? Talks with Colin. He's been taking a look at the M2 global money supply. We've had some pretty big prints lately, so maybe that will be enough to get things moving. But yeah, I think you're right. We need to, it'd be great if the Fed could put some more on their balance sheet and reduce the quantitative tightening, but I don't know about that. But I do think the printer is coming. Like Lawrence Leopard says, the big print is coming, and I think he's right. Yes, I try to. Buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Grayscale. Yeah, any interest you're paying or anything is bleeding, losing money. It's true. But so like, think of it this way. Let's say that you have $100,000 to go on your mortgage, right? And your mortgage is at 5%. But let's say that, you have a real estate friend or a group, and they're like, hey, we've got these, it's a commercial property that they need $100,000 and they're willing to do a 10 or 15-year loan and, for $100,000 for 10%. And you'll be the first lien holder if something happens and it blows out. Which one would you go for? On that situation, like it looks pretty attractive to do that, especially if you're the first lien holder. Just saying. But holy macaroni, you're right. When you're bleeding, losing money, it does suck. It's just that property in America. It's just, I don't know what it's like around the world, but I'm really tired of, even though houses are paid off, you still got to pay. HOAs, still got to pay. God dang. 3% mortgage. Good for you, Esquire. Who's Phil? I could be Phil. I don't know. I'd be using my tax-deductible mortgage with a 3% interest rate. Best to invest in anything that outperforms it. Yeah, there you go. Your house is actually yours. And Michael Saylor does have a good point. He's like, what do you really own? I mean, really think about that. If you own it and hold it, you probably got to get taxed on it. And I was like, well, that's true. They don't do that yet to Bitcoin. Thank God Janet Yellen stepped down. Or actually, she was kind of booted with the new administration. But yeah, she was talking about taxing unrealized cap gains, unrealized profits. Pretty crazy. Uncle Sam owns everything. Thank you, Chris. I never plan to pay off my mortgage. Yeah. We're at that point in the cycle when people are starting to talk about, maybe I don't want to pay off the mortgage. Maybe I want to get a second mortgage and start putting that into Bitcoin. I've known some people that have done that. Did not end too great. Let's see. And because they did Celsius. Yes, exactly. ES says, if I had confidence in my trading abilities, then yeah, keep the mortgage. I don't have the confidence and know I could actually lose the money. I think it's better to pay the mortgage. Yeah, see. And that's just it. Like, it's what you want to do. Like, I got to tell you, it does feel, it's like the weight's off you. It's very nice. But some people are fine with debt. You have to be comfortable with debt. That's one of the problems that I had when opening up businesses. It was like, I felt like I had to pay everything off immediately, but it's not how it works. There we go. Retro. Paying off my mortgage was the best decision I made with my last cycle profits. It's allowed me to DCA the whole. That's not a good point. Owning a home was a scam. I traveled the country sleeping under bridges for cheap rent. That's probably the cheapest. Property tax cheaper than rent. Yeah. Depending on where you live, actually. And what's great about rent is that you can pick up and go. Of course, if you have, an agreement or a lease, there's ways out of it, but that part is nice. Money finds a place on a mortgage. Polly, it's all gone. Where are we? Ice Tank says, your doctor suggested you drink. It was, Rob, are you drinking beer? I'm like, today or like before I came in, or what are you talking about? He's like, do you drink a lot? I'm like, well, he's like, I need you to stop drinking. I'm like, well, it's kind of tough. He says, well, if you're going to drink, then do wine. Okay, I can, that was the art of the deal right there. That pull to drop value is the same one. See? Exactly. James knows. I was there for the pool stream. I sell when people start calling him Dan or Rich. Colin talks crypto. Yeah, good guy. Bennett Theory, Bitcoin M2, maybe. That sucks. Same with Canada. Fab says it's not like that around the world. It's bad, but it's differently bad. So as far as like taxes on your properties, yeah, it's much brighter. I gotta agree. That's pretty much it right now. Dave Ramsey is ridiculous. Hey, Dave Ramsey, even though he does not a big fan of Bitcoin, he does have some solid advice about getting out of crazy debt and using credit cards. There is there is good information everywhere. It's just not everything. And of course, it all depends on what kind of investor you are. Hello, Reinhardt. Free speech isn't free. Exactly. Yeah, there's a reason why America doesn't have socialized medicine. It's because we got to sell that, spend that for the military. Yeah, exactly. If I were your doctor, I would recommend drinking wine versus Miller Lite, just saying. Or in taxes. And then let's get out of here. It's been 45 minutes. What's your stance on Polygon? Stacks, Polkadot, and Cosmos. Polkadot, I just don't see that one coming back. And there may be some great things. I still own a little bit of Polkadot, so I'm hoping it does, but I'm not adding anything to the bags. Cosmos, no. Stacks, very well could be. I mean, it's essentially the layer 2 smart contract platform on Bitcoin. It's just they've made so many promises, and like how much is being built on that one? I haven't heard any stories, partnerships, advancements in Stacks recently. But of course, in the comment section, people will tell me how wrong I am. That's fine. I just haven't really heard too much. And Polygon was the one that I thought would do the best as far as like a layer 2 solution. They had so many things going for it. But again, every time I see about, we're talking about these specific projects, and we talk about, will it do well? Some of these projects, like for example, Polygon still has good partnerships and is doing a lot of things in the world, but people just don't get into it. And there's a big difference between the speculation aspect of an altcoin and say like what the real utility is. Case in point, how well has Chainlink done this session? And doesn't every blockchain need that as far as like an oracle for outside data to be pulled into the block? And yet Chainlink is a laggard as far as like price appreciation. What people really get into, and I still believe this, is they are gambling and they are just finding out price discovery. That's why like I showed you Sui. They're doing good things and they're having some things built on it, but how much volume is it really? How many people are actually building on it? But again, it doesn't matter because people are going to buy it like crazy because they're all speculating. And that's it. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, all that good stuff. That's it for this one. Let's see, Tuesday, we don't have DCAs coming up on Thursday on Ben's channel. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. So thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you guys. Adios. Bop, bop, bop.